Welcome to this how-to series single episode on how TSM Outpost Builder works, what it's for, what it does, and how to use it. Plain and simple. So we'll jump into a game where we already have this in place and up and running. There's a build request in here that's slowly being filled. Let me show you at map view basically what the whole purpose of this is. The idea is, see all of these are obviously construction zones, roboport, logistic zones and construction zones. The idea of this mod is basically making this a virtual one massive construction zone supported by the work of trains. So how does all that work? Well, these are actual live build requests that you can see here the level of the request. It actually changed while we were watching because there's an automated refresh that goes on. So it's changed down. There's 19. It's basically going to our nuclear facility to extend the facility there. And what this means is we need to dispatch from our make everything type factory 15 now. The back order is what needs to be dispatched from our make everything factory. The awaiting delivery is out at the outpost, what we're expecting to receive. What we're looking at in front of us is in fact one of these make everything factories. There's a special station for make everything factories, and it's supported by a make everything combinator. Now this combinator doesn't need to be within a certain space of a make everything station. It can be basically anywhere. It receives its information from the current order, and that's what it's showing here. 7 of these guys left for our nuclear facility. 7 of the, actually what are they called? 7 of these guys, steam turbines, that's it. 7 steam turbines left. Now, important thing to note is you can have as many build requests as you want. You can just stack them up, add them on, it's fine. The rest of this is just outpost stations that you can have build requests go to. You can also have as many ME stations as you want. If we look at the schedule here, there's actually 3. These 3 are all ME stations. Now, what I've actually done is, this is the first one here. This is the main area where we're building most of the products required. However, as we're building reasonably big in this factory, I have split off the modules into a separate build facility. This one's capable of 40 speed modules a minute and something similar in terms of prod modules. And because I'm not using robots all that much in this build, I also have robots available at the, well, what I guess was my starting belt base. Now these are deactivated deliberately by circuit condition coming from a make everything combinator. Basically this one is only needed if there are modules in the request, which there aren't here, so it got turned off. And yes, something exciting has just happened, I've noticed. Basically our train is returning from up here where it delivered the goods. You saw it drop to 0, then this came down and you can see it's been removed, and the next item in the build queue has become available. While we're looking at one of our outposts, let's have a quick look at how that one works. There's a special outpost train stop. The way these ones work is, this is all the ones that we have active at the moment. You feed information via green wire. It doesn't necessarily have to come from a ghost reader, but it works very well in conjunction with a ghost reader. The ghost reader performs an actual interrogation of ghosts, ghost entities within the network, so it has to be placed within the logistic part of a network, and it will read all the ghost entities in the entire construction part. So it has to go in the orange, but it will read the entire green part of the network. So this has now moved on to serving this next one. It's going to deliver very shortly. We'll get to that. Note it's a green wire. that feeds the actual demand into the outpost station. And note also that there's also a red wire going to all of the inserters. The inserters, we're on board the train. It's very similar at the make everything as well, except you don't need the green wire to the station. This is already generated from what's here. The red wire comes off all the inserters, and I'll show you exactly the setup when we get to the station up here, although it will be a fairly short visit since we're only dropping off 9 rail, but we should have time to quickly click on one of the rail icons because it's the same setup up here. And you can see what actually goes on. The way to remember this is it's red like red ink in a journal. So read hand contents pulse. You need to have that go via red wire to the station so that the countdown can occur. Green for building up the demand, red for reducing both these values both at the ME station and the outpost station. Now, one other thing, this is actually, we note, it's right here, this station, and it's part of the same network that we delivered to, so it's a duplicate. You probably don't really want a duplicate. Worse, what the actual issue is these very smart robots are refusing to lay their items while the trees are in the way, and they are not quite smart enough to realize that. So we get rid of them and we can refresh that, and that will get rid of the other demand that we don't want. This will mean that our train will just come back, pull back into the station, and basically that is that. There's not really a lot more to it. If we want to, there's no need to maintain all of these, by the way. Once you've built fully what you want, you may as well get rid of the outpost station. But places like nuclear, for example, I mean, I can demonstrate my power is fairly well under control. We're only using 9 gigawatts of 15.5. But let's just say we wanted some more. What we could do, remember we're nowhere near the nuclear right at this second. We can stamp down a nuclear build. We can then, remember this is our nuclear build, we can then say, well, let's refresh that. And you'll notice it's popped back into our build request. It's now saying we're being serviced. If we come back here, you can see the train's filling up with stuff. There is a bunch of stuff being requested. In fact, all of these were satisfied immediately, but the steam turbines, obviously we just delivered a whole lot, so it's taking a moment for the make everything to catch up on that order. You can in fact have this order summary run to about 60 items should you need it. I've increased the size of the combinator component to allow that, so hopefully that's enough. If not, let me know. But basically this will finish off the remaining 4, drop these off, and we'll have expanded nuclear. And it's basically as simple as that. I might just let it finish so we can see. As you can see, there's 230 entities. If you add all this up, there's 90, 160, 208, and some rats and mice. Probably comes to about 230, so I'm guessing that's roughly what our issue is. There we go, we're off. And again, there's no need to go to these, so because of how I've deactivated them, the train will avoid them. There's no harm in having your train go to all of these other stations if you don't want to deactivate the stations. It'll just sit there, not pick anything up, and move on, basically. But there's no point in sending it there, since you can deactivate it fairly easily, so that's certainly my preferred method. I don't really have much more to add. There's not a lot more to it. You can... Oh, there is a little bit more. One other thing. In the settings menu, on the map, you set the time for the refresh interval, anything from 1 minute up. And by player, you can change the size of these Windows scrolls, and you can turn off all the messages should you wish to do so. And you probably will, especially if you have this number of outposts. It will start to get annoying after a while. Also, there is no harm in just changing the name. This is actually nuclear power, so let's call it that. Nuclear power. And now it knows it is nuclear power. We'll probably need to open and shut that just to get it to refresh. There you go, nuclear power. So that's really all there is to it. It is alpha. Any questions, let me know. And thanks very much. Bye-bye for now.